Or what is going on, guys? This weekend is UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopes. I'm going to be going over my full card early predictions. Starting with the early prelim opener of Nora Cornell, almost cornhole, versus Haley Cohen. I'm going to be going Nora Cornell by decision. It's like a low-level women's MMA fight. Not excited at all for this matchup. This is like, it says, I think they start at 6 p.m., the early prelims? Where is it? So really, the fights don't start till like 5:20 or 6:20, 6:30 because I'm not watching this shit. Moving up. Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. If I remember correctly, I think Marco Tulio is a heavy favorite, understandably. Gore has a couple of bad losses in his career. The loss to Brian Battle isn't that bad of a loss to have. Battle's on kind of a run himself right now, even though he missed weight in his last fight. He's on a 2-fight win streak right now. I think both by guillotine, if I remember correctly. I don't know why, but I feel like Tresean Gore is gonna get it done by first round KO or first round guillotine. That is gonna be my official prediction. Probably be very wrong on that, but we will see. Moving up the card. Kind of a tough fight to pick, honestly, in my opinion at least. We have Sumadarji versus Mitch Rapazzo. The way I look at this fight, Sumadarji has definitely faced higher level opposition, even though it has some pretty, I guess, bad losses, like the loss to Matt Schnell. I think what the difference in this fight's going to be is Sumadarji has that big reach advantage. He's got a 3-inch height advantage and a several-inch reach advantage. I think that's going to be the difference in this fight. I think Sumadarji is going to be able to keep Mitch back. Use his kicks, use his punches, keep him back. And I think Sumadarji is going to win via decision. Moving up the card, headlining the early prelims. We have Cedriquis Dumas versus Mikhail Olasejchik. Little Jan Blachowicz is what he looks like. Yeah, that's what I figured. So this fight, Olasejchik's on a 3-fight losing streak currently. This is he has to win this fight. If he doesn't win this fight, he's probably going to get cut, even though the level of opposition that he's facing and is losing to is generally pretty high. For Cedriquis Dumas, I think, what does he have, like 4 fights in the UFC? I think he's 2-2. Could be wrong on that. But, again, the level of opposition, especially the people he's losing to, not the highest level. I think what it comes down to in this fight is Olasejchik has been in there. He's been in some tough fights. I think he doesn't have the reach advantage. But I think, as far as technically, I think he's a better striker. I think he has more power than Cedriquis Dumas does. Grappling, I would lean Olasejchik, but not super confident in that. Dumas just looks really sloppy in his fights. So I'm going to go Mikhail Olasejchik to win. I think he's going to finish Dumas. 3rd round TKO for Mikhail Olasejchik. Back and forth. Maybe Dumas wins the 1st round. Olasejchik wins the 2nd round. Dumas is starting to fade, and Olasejchik is able to put him away in that 3rd round. A very tired Cedriquis Dumas from the hood, as it says on his stomach right there. Moving up the card, we have Darren Elkins versus Juliana Rosa. You know who I'm picking in this fight. We can't go with the damage. The damage is 40 years old. He's been through so many wars. He's taken too much damage. I can't pick Derek Elkins. I cannot pick him. He's a crafty old veteran. I don't think he's going to get finished. I'm going to pick Juliana Rosa via decision. Darren Elkins, hard to finish, hard to get out of there. Always is gritty, sticks it through. I just don't see where Darren Elkins can win this fight. I think Rosa is going to be faster on the feet than him. I think he's got better grappling than Elkins. but I do see him being able to survive. All right, so we got Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. Old man Jim Miller versus young guy and Chase Hooper. I believe he's 25 years old. He's younger than me. Jim Miller, I think, was he 41 or 42 years old? Taken a lot of damage throughout the years, been through a lot of wars. The most recent war I would say he's been through is the one with Bobby Green, where Bobby Green beat the shit out of him for 3 rounds at UFC 300. I don't see any path to victory for Jim Miller. I think Chase Hooper's... If this was Chase Hooper when he first got into the UFC, I would say Jim Miller would definitely beat him. But Chase Hooper has evolved in the striking. He's always had a good grappling base, and that's how I see him getting this fight done. For my official prediction, I'm going to go in Chase Hooper by submission. For what submission specifically, I'm not sure. He has such a variety of submissions that he's always going for. He's always going for arm bars. He's always good at getting the back, getting rear naked chokes. I've seen him go for guillotines, anacondas, darts. He goes for so many different submissions. I don't know exactly how. Probably it would be like a rear naked choke or an arm bar. I think that's probably his most likely submission to get on Jim Miller. But I don't see anywhere where Jim Miller could be competitive in this fight. I think Hooper could go a hard 3 rounds. I think he could outstrike Jim Miller for 3 rounds if he wanted to. It's just tough for me to pick Jim Miller. And how big of a favorite is, yeah, a minus 800 favorite in Chase Hooper. So I think it's a no-brainer. We're going Chase Hooper via submission. Moving up the card, a decent women's MMA fight. We have Yan Xiaonan versus Verna Jandiroba. I'm going Verna Jandiroba by decision. And how I think she wins this fight was with the grappling. Yan Xiaonan has been shown in the past that is her weakest link in her game, is her grappling and her grappling defense. She was able to get out grappled in the title fight that she had with Zhang Weili. I think that's what Verna Jandiroba is going to do. For some reason, I thought Jandiroba was taller. No, she does have a 1-inch reach advantage, though. But I just see Jandiroba being able to out-physicality her, out-muscle her, control her up against the octagon. I'm going Verna Jandiroba, very boring, probably 29-28 decision, where Yan Xiaonan probably wins the first round with being super aggressive. But you know what? It honestly wouldn't surprise me either way this fight goes. To me, this is kind of a 50-50 fight. If Yan Xiaonan can defend the takedowns and keep the fight on the feet, I think she has better striking than Verna Jandiroba, and she also has knockout power, and which is rare for a woman. Jandiroba isn't a slouch as far as power-wise, though. So Yan Xiaonan definitely has to keep her chin tucked and not get hit. Moving up the card, we have the featured fight on the prelims. Very excited for this fight. We have Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. I'm not going to lie, I kind of feel bad for Dan Ige here. He goes and fights Diego Lopes on like 3 hours notice. Loses that fight. Was winning late in that fight. If it was a 5-round fight, I think Ige might have been able to finish Diego Lopes. He was tagging him way more. Not really able to do too much with the grappling. And then Sean Woodson's going on a tear right now. Knockout, I can't remember the guy's name in his last fight. It was another real tall guy. On my head. This is exactly how I see this fight going. This is, to me, this is going to be like the Josh Emmett, Lerone Murphy fight that just happened. It's going to be Woodson picking Dan Ige apart from the outside, using his kicks, tapping away at him, throwing the jab out there, throwing his 1-2-3, keeping Dan Ige at bay, and it's going to be Ige looking for that knockout shot, which he does have 1-punch knockout power, so it wouldn't surprise me if he can land on Sean Woodson's chin. He could knock him out. Woodson has been dropped badly before, so it could happen. I just think the reach and the lankiness of Woodson is too much. If Ige could go out there and implement some good leg kicks on those little noodles that Sean Woodson has on his feet, I think if he chops the legs of Woodson, he could potentially set up a shot to knock him out. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. I'm rooting for Dan Ige in this fight. I really want Dan Ige to win. I'm seeing it like I saw the last weekend's fight. I'm going to go Sean Woodson via decision. I don't think he's not going to be able to finish Dan Ige. Be very surprised if he did. But fingers crossed, Dan Ige gets the knockout win. I think he's just going to have a tough time closing that distance. Moving up the card, opening up the pay-per-view. Very excited for this fight. We have Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Nikita Krylov, I think he's coming off of a 2-year layoff. He is from Ukraine, so I'm assuming it has to do with the whole crap they got going on over there. So he's probably, whatever he's got to do. Dominic Reyes actually putting together a couple of wins. Very happy for him. Although they're not the greatest wins. I think, like, the Anthony Smith win doesn't really mean much. I think the Dustin Jacoby win is a far better win than Anthony Smith. I think if Dustin Jacoby and Anthony Smith fought right now, I would pick Jacoby to probably finish Anthony Smith on the feet. Pause. So this fight's kind of tricky for me to pick because Reyes, very good technical fighter. He's got good, decent grappling. I think Krylov definitely has the grappling advantage and the submission advantage. He's good on the feet. He's very well-rounded, Reyes, that is. Same with Krylov. And Reyes does have good power. I was kind of flirting with the idea of picking Dominic Reyes to get the win, just because Krylov hasn't been in the octagon or a fight in so long. But for my official prediction, I'm going Nikita Krylov via KO TKO. I think he's going to be able to kind of wait in there. He probably, and it could cost him the fight. I don't think he's going to respect Dominic Reyes. I think he's going to go in there, and Reyes has an off button. You hit him flush with a good power shot, he goes out. We've seen that. He was able to take some shots in his last 2 fights, but those people aren't known for power punching. Krylov has good power, so I could see Krylov hurting Reyes, Reyes going down, and finishing him off with ground and pound. I'm going Nikita Krylov via ground and pound, TKO, KO finish. And there goes the ending streak of Dominic Reyes. And what sucks about this is if Krylov wins, he's like one more fight away from a title shot. But he's so inactive. He needs to be more active. Reyes, with the wins he's been getting, he has been relatively active. So if he gets a win over Krylov, he's in the same position. One more win, and he's there for a title shot. We're going to have maybe Olberg and Yuri fighting. So Reyes just needs one win in the top 5. He's next in line for a title shot at light heavyweight, which is crazy to think. Because I feel like just yesterday he was getting knocked out with a jab by Ryan Spann. So we'll see how this fight goes. Really excited for it. Moving up the card, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Jean Silva. This is a very tricky fight. Bryce gets knocked out brutally by Josh Emmett. Brutally. Sitting there going lethargic. Jean Silva on a tear right now at featherweight and at lightweight. He has a win over Drew Dober. Might have been, I can't remember if it was a catchweight or if it was actually at lightweight. Doesn't matter. But Drew Dober, it's a good, solid win, don't get me wrong. But I think Dober's at the tail end of his career. I don't think he has too many more fights left. I don't think he has any sort of hope at competing in the top 15 of the lightweight division. So I don't hold that win in super high regard, but it's still a solid win nonetheless. How I see this fight going and how I've come to my conclusion, I'm going Bryce Mitchell via decision. And how I came to that conclusion is I think he's going to shoot non-stop takedowns at Jean Silva, and I think he's going to get him down and be able to control him. I think Silva's going to be good enough to not get submitted. But in some of these grappling exchanges that Silva's having, everybody's pointing out the Charles Jourdain fight. Jourdain was able to get him down, and Mitchell is way better at wrestling, takedowns, jiu-jitsu, grappling in general than Charles Jourdain. So in my mind, if Jourdain can get Silva down, Bryce Mitchell's not going to have any problem with it. Now, Silva is very dynamic on the feet, So I do kind of worry about Bryce getting caught, especially, in that Krung Gracie fight that Mitchell had. Gracie just kept pulling guard, so we don't really know how Mitchell's chin's going to react to getting hit. So his chin could be gone. It could have been cracked by Josh Emmett. And if Silva lands one solid shot, we might see like a Billy Quarantillo, Edson Barbosa, where Billy Q goes in for a takedown and Barbosa throws a knee up perfectly timed and just knocks him out cold. We could see that in this fight, and that is a very real possibility. I just have to go with Mitchell's got decent kicks. The striking, but his kicks, he's got decent kicks, so I think he can mix it up a little bit on the feet and then go for takedowns, get that control time. I'm going Bryce Mitchell via unanimous decision, 30-27, or maybe 29-28. I think Silva might win the first round. Moving up the card, we have Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull making his debut, coming over from Bellator/PFL, or PFL/Bellator, I guess, since Bellator's gone now. Listen, I'm glad that we're getting some of these other fighters from other organizations over here, but it's too late. He's too old. He's way past his prime. I think he's 37, 38 years old. I can't pick him. I know he's got to win in his last fight. I can't pick him. I'm going to go Yair Rodriguez. I'm going to go Yair Rodriguez via KO, TKO. Could Pitbull win by using the grappling? Yes. I think the reach discrepancy and the height discrepancy between Yair and Pitbull is too much. I think Yair's going to be able to keep the distance. He's going to be super dynamic in that the first round. Yair Rodriguez, super dynamic, super dangerous, super powerful. I think he's going to go out there and get Pitbull out of there in the first round via KO, TKO with some cool kick, set up with some cool kick. I think he's going to do some kick to the body, and then I'll set up shots to the head, finishing Patricio Pitbull, stopping his UFC, I guess, rise? I don't know. But yeah, I think if they would have brought Pitbull in here 2-3 years ago, I probably would have picked him. Just because the clear way to beat Yair is to grapple, take him down. He has a tough time getting back up, reversing position once he gets down. Max Holloway was able to out-grapple him. Volkanovski was able to out-grapple him. Ortega was able to out-grapple him. So yeah, I'm going Yair Rodriguez, KO. Moving up, co-main event. Boy, excited for this one. We have Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. Chandler just gets, I'll give him credit right now. He's finally fighting someone that's below him in the rankings, that's on a win streak. He's just been getting high-tier matchups over and over and over again, even though he's been losing. Last fight, loss to Charles Oliveira. Pimblett's last win. I don't know how to, because the fight didn't really play. Obviously, he submitted him and he won, but it was kind of an accident. So I would have really liked to see how that fight played out more. The Tony Ferguson wins is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. Tony Ferguson is a shell of his former self. How I see this fight going is it is a 5-round fight. I do favor Chandler over 5 rounds. So I think if this goes the distance, I would lean Chandler. But we don't know how Paddy's going to be in a 5-round fight. Is he going to conserve his energy? What I think is going to happen, though, in this fight is I see Paddy Pimblett winning via 3rd round rear naked choke, getting the back of Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's crazy. He's always doing these wild scrambles. And in those scrambles, in those moments, I see Paddy being able to get the back of Michael Chandler. And I know, Oliveira wasn't able to submit him, wasn't able to finish him, but Dustin Poirier was able to get a rear naked choke finish on Michael Chandler in a very competitive fight. Now, while Chandler does have power that can put Paddy Pimblett's lights out in one shot, he's got to land it. And, Patty does keep his chin out there. And maybe Michael Chandler will be the one. I kind of hope he is. I really want Michael Chandler to win so we can see the Scousers do indeed get knocked out. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Patty's going to be able to keep Chandler back with his kicks. He does have some pretty good kicks. Keep him back with his kicks. Be able to eventually get the back of Michael Chandler in some weird scramble and get the rear naked choke finish in that third round. Other than that, could this be a breakout performance for Patty where he does go a solid pace for 5 rounds? Yes. But I can't, we haven't seen that before. So I'm going to have to, I would lean Michael Chandler in those rounds 4 and 5. Moving up, the main event. I'm excited for this. It sucks. These are 2 of my favorite fighters at featherweight right now. We have Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Listen, I'm going to get my prediction. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going Volkanovski via decision. Or no, I'm not. I'm going Volkanovski via 5th round TKO. This is how I see this fight going. There's 2 paths to victory. Or sorry, 1 path to victory for both guys. 2 for Volkanovski. Lopes, if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to knock Volkanovski out in the first 2 rounds. Every fight I've seen him in, that's a 3-round fight. In the 3rd round, he slows down. Badly. And he starts getting clipped. The way Volkanovski is able to flow when he gets somebody on the back foot is phenomenal. He's very good at it. He did it really good to Yair. Popped him up top, picked him up, dumped him down, and got the finish in that fight. I think Lopes does have the jiu-jitsu advantage, but I would give Volkanovski the wrestling advantage and the striking advantage. I think his striking is way better than Lopes. If Volkanovski's chin's gone, he's going to get knocked out. We're going to find out in this fight if his chin is done for. If he has a big off button, just like Dominic Reyes does on his chin, we're going to find out in this fight. So we're going to see. I think he has taken enough time off, been able to recover. I'm hoping it's not gone, and he can still take some shots. But if Lopes lands flush with the perfect shot, I think he'll probably put Volkanovski out. But Volkanovski is very good, typically, at evading those big power shots. It'd be very interesting to see what's going to happen for Volkanovski. Is this going to be the end of Volkanovski? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. And for Lopes, if he does win, I don't really see him being able to keep onto the belt for very long. I think Movsar would probably beat him again. I'm trying to think who else is in the top 5 right now. Lerone Murphy, that'd be a pretty close one. And as far as Volkanovski goes, I think if his chin's not gone, I think he probably could beat Movsar and Murphy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win the main event? Is Volkanovski's chin gone? Or do you think he's still got it? Can he get the win over Diego Lopes? Let me know in the comment section down below. Drop a like on the video. Make sure and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.